Hello, my name is Julio Suna. I'm Mr. Ang's Period 3 Math 5 class. And today I'm going to be doing my course evaluation. Alright, so the first task is to list two specific things Mr. Ang did to effectively facilitate the learning process for this math class. I think excuse me. I think Mr. Ang does a really good job at making sure we're all really on task with the class. He's always asking questions. He's always telling us like, everyone repeat this, everyone say this, to really just get us keep us on task. And it works for me. I don't know if it works for everyone else in the class, but I always try to repeat what he says so that I can understand what we're learning. Another thing he does really well is make us talk to our partners every so often so we understand other people's perspectives on what we're learning and see if we're doing it right or if we're doing it wrong. And then we just get to help each other out. The second task was to describe two things Mr. Ang did to hinder you from learning mathematics. And I think Mr. Ang has a different way of teaching that you need to get used to. It did take me a while, but I think after getting into his rhythm, into his flow, I just really like his teaching style, and I don't think he really did anything to prevent me from learning math. So yeah, I don't want to skip over the question. I just think he just didn't do anything to hinder my learning, so yeah. The third one is state two things you did successfully in Mr. Ang's classroom. I think me and my partners were really well about turning in our projects on time and making sure everything was due. We did have a problem with our capstone that one time, but we won't talk about that. But I think we did really well in turning those in and really staying on task and keeping each other accountable. Another thing was I think I did really well at always taking note of what Mr. Ng says and really making sure I understood what he was talking about and asking for help from the aides around the class. The next question is explain two things you learned in Mr. Ng's class, mathematics and life. Mr. Ng teaches me a lot, gives me a lot of life advice, before class and after class, sometimes during class. And I started into his club, Future Rebel Educators, and I'm the president for next year. And he just, every time I'm in that during lunch, he always gives me advice on college, on teaching. This one time he told me how to develop the teacher stare so that students would know when they're doing something wrong. And so we've been working on that one. The next thing it was write about two of your best experiences in Mr. Ng's class. My experiences are the same from my last course eval, but it was this one time Mr. Ng told the whole class to repeat something, and we repeated it. And then he said something else, and then I repeated it, and we weren't supposed to repeat it, so I was the only one that said that word. And that was kind of funny. That was a really good memory in his class. And then another thing was our first, and all the other ones, our whole class quiz. I think those are so cool and such a good way to get the whole class involved, and those are a lot of fun. So I have the best experiences with those. The next part says answer each question with at least 2 sentences, and it starts with academic. Rigor of class. Was it appropriate for the grade level and the class? I think it was appropriate for the grade level and the class. Mr. Ng does sometimes ask us to do things that some people might question, make us repeat things and make us say the number, but I think everything he does is for a good reason, and it also helps us in the long run or in anything we do. Personally, repeating the page number, repeating keywords really helps me out, and so I think it all falls into place in this class. It's pretty good. Next thing is work habits, dedication. Was Mr. Ng enthusiastic and committed to teaching his profession? Yes, very. Mr. Ng is one of the most enthusiastic teachers I've ever had. He's always excited to be in class. He walks in every day and goes, game plans, just yelling them out. I think he's a great teacher. I think he loves what he does. And he takes on 3 other clubs, and I know he dedicates his time to every single club equally, so that's kind of cool. And then the last thing is cooperation. Respect. Was Mr. Ng's conduct that of an exceptional citizen and inspirational teacher? Yes, like I said before, Mr. Ng's a great teacher. Inspirational teacher, yes. He literally has taught me more about college in this past year than I've learned in other classes. I think that's kind of cool. He not only tells you how to get to college, but tips when you're in college about like classes to take, things like that. And I just think that's super cool. And this last thing says, write a letter to Mr. Ang's next math class. Please include what they might expect from Mr. Ang's class and any tips for success in the class. All I have to say is always do your work on time. Mr. Ang's class isn't that difficult if you don't fall behind. Keep on doing every time what you're doing. Like every time you assign something, do the work. Don't leave it to later because it will pile up and then you're stuck doing 10, 20 multiplication tables. Be respectful. Don't go to the restroom in this class. It's not that hard, guys. I've never gotten my name up. I'm proud to say I've never gotten my name up on the board, which is kind of cool. And then there's some people that get their name up on the board every day for doing like the dumbest things. Like, come on, you know to put your phone away, you know to put your headphones away, you know to like, don't chew gum, don't eat in class. It's not that hard to keep your name off the board. Just don't do everything that they've been teaching you since elementary in his class. You'll be fine. Keep everything away. You're there to learn math. It's not that long a class. Stay in the class and just learn from something. Make sure you're always paying attention because every day he teaches something new and every day it's something valuable. So tips for success, just always pay attention and be respectful. Thank you.